Matteo, what's up?
Everything's good, Rick.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
I saw you a few weeks ago at NAMM, just for about 2 seconds.
Yeah,
But,
2 seconds. Yeah,
But it's good to have you back.
Thank
Tell me what you've been doing. You have a new guitar you're playing here.
Yeah, this is a new custom Pacifica that I've been playing for a couple of months, actually. So I'm still getting used to it, but this is the new toy I have here. I'm still trying to figure out how to play with the bar and with fingers at the same time.
Yeah, so the placement of it, does it allow you to kind of use your fingers at the same time?
Well, yeah, but yeah, I prefer, for my kind of playing, I prefer to have shorter bars, for example. So this is not like a full-length whammy. First of all, this is a Vega trem, and I really like those bridges. The tone is amazing. They luckily have...
is it brass?
I don't know, but it's kind of a very solid piece of metal.
Yeah.
Doesn't get out of tune too much, even if you push a lot.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing for me. And then, of course, the quality of the tone is great. You can achieve a lot of sustain with it. Yeah, but I've been playing a lot of, not really fancy stuff, just melodies. Not really like
that looks
aggressive
actually
kind of stuff.
like it fits perfectly in your hand while you're playing like that.
Yeah, I like to, it's kind of, if the whammy bar is too long, then it gets a little bit in the way.
Yeah.
I think this is the perfect length for me. I'm still experimenting with the bend of the final part, for example. But yeah, it doesn't get in the way too much. But if I have to play with the other position, for example, then I have to take it in this kind of way,
Yeah.
And so I'm just experimenting with it, having fun, and let's see what happens, And just learning some of the old tricks, like
there you go.
This kind of stuff. And it's fun to have like a different guitar compared to the Rev Star that I'm always playing. This is always my main guitar, let's say, but it's good to have a Strat style during the concert to change the sound. It's always the Martius. I have these are two Aria 68.
Okay.
And this is a PIF 36th anniversary.
Yeah.
And I have also the same humbuckers on the other guitar, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, and so far so good. I've been playing some new stuff from the new album that will come out on April 24. We have a lot of new tunes that we are spoiling during the concerts, and people already made tons of videos that are uploaded on YouTube.
Nothing you can do about it, man.
Yeah, nothing you can do about it. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of people that upload the whole thing, let's say, but you need to get used to it. I mean, that's how it works today. So the new songs are already out there, basically. But as you said before, there's nothing you can do about it because that's how it works today, and it's kind of, in a way, it's free advertisement, It's always your stuff. It's okay maybe to have some snippets here and there, but the full thing, it's not necessarily a good thing because people can't see the whole concert on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then it's, the element of surprise will no longer be there once you go to see the live performance.
So speaking of live performance, so I'm walking around NAMM and I'm walking on the thing and I hear there's somebody on the big stage playing and I'm listening, I'm like, boy, that guitar player's smoking. And then of course I see, then it's you then I look on the screen, I see it was like, oh, of course, it's Matteo. Of course it is.
Thanks so much. Yeah, there was I have to say there was a tough gig because we had a really fast sound check.
Yeah.
Meaning
no sound check?
Yeah, basically just a line check, actually, not really a sound check. But that was crazy because I think it was like a 40-minute performance at 1 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone was hanging out of the buildings to eat and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So there were tons of people there. And
it was mobbed.
I was floored the first time because I saw so many people in front of me, and
Yeah.
that was an exciting feeling, of course. And playing the new tunes for the first time, because that was basically the first gig of the tour.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing feeling, of course. Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite gigs so far.
Okay, so since the last time I saw you, which was I think 2 years ago, because it was actually right around NAMM a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So what have you been practicing, Matteo? Because I see you play on on the interwebs and everything, and you just play the most insane stuff. Your phrasing is incredible.
Thank you.
What are you working on?
Well, it's mostly, to be honest, I worked a lot on composition in these years, because, of course, for the second album, I wanted to do some, let's say, different material compared to the first one. So the approach was, I should say, a little bit different compared to the first one, because the first was a little bit more jazz-oriented, let's say. So we were all of three of us in the same room and trying to capture the moment, and just one guitar, bass, and drums, you know, a little bit more naked sounding. This time I wanted to do more experiments with stacking tons of guitars, like trying acoustics, trying classical and lead guitar on the same song, trying to achieve like kind of a particular sound. And so let's say that the second album is a little bit more produced in a way that he has a fuller sound, because there are tons of guitar tracks. So it was kind of a different approach. And then, of course, I always try to study every day. Try not only studying new things, but just to keep my chops up, you know, just like normal giggling around and juggle things around to see what happens. And you know, it's always, sometimes it's a fight between the instrument and me. Sometimes we get along.
Right.
There are some days where I really feel like I don't want to play at all, you know. And I always had this kind of, let's say, discipline that even if I don't want to, I always grab the guitar.
But once you grab it, though, and you start playing for a minute, then you're into it, right?
Yeah. I'm into it. The more you play, the more you want to play.
Yes.
Luckily, like for me, it works like that. And luckily for me, it has been a very great journey, because you never know. The more you study, the more you know that you don't know, let's say. So yeah, it's always kind of a. I always try to concentrate myself on vocabulary, because I get bored of my own licks.
Okay,
let's say.
people might not know what vocabulary is. Explain to an average person what vocabulary means.
Well, vocabulary is basically your, in a way, it's your bag of tricks while you are improvising. Let's say you have a vocabulary is meaning that when you are improvising, you are trying to say something, and if you have a great vocabulary, you are able to do to say this thing with a different number of words that are available to you. It's basically just like speaking. Right now, I'm improvising in English, and I'm trying to deliver the message as good as I can. And that's basically the same thing with guitar. The thing that I always struggle with is the visualization of the notes. And I also talked about on the first interview, because we don't use asymmetrical tuning. We have this major third here that screws everything up. So
well, except for chords.
Yeah.
Helps with chords.
You know,
hard for lines.
Hard for chords, hard for lines, even like, you know, all the symmetrical scales. You always have to fix the shape when you get to the third and second string, you know. So some of the lines you create are really hard to visualize. And I suggest this is something that I really realized in the later years. Knowing the notes on the fretboard is much more helpful than you think. It's not helpful only for sight reading. It's helpful for improvising. It's helpful for basically everything you create. So if I know that this is a G, if I know that this is a E flat, I have more advantages in the improvisational part too, because people tend to think that knowing the notes on the fretboard is useful only for reading music, but
Right.
it's not.
Correct.
Then, of course, you need to have the muscular memory as well. But that's part of the job, of course, but knowing the notes is way more helpful than you think. And I realized that in the latest years, actually, that I was relying maybe too much on the muscular memory before. Now it's more about, like, if I have to play through the changes, it's incredibly helpful to knowing the notes, especially if you're playing on like keys like B flat or A flat that are not really guitaristic friendly, let's
Right.
say. It's always useful to have kind of just knowing the notes of the key.
Yeah.
Will be incredibly helpful. Yeah.
Do you practice? Do you pick something out like, I'm going to work on the diminished scale or the augmented scale one day and work on fingerings of things, or I'm going to play in one key but all in fourths or something, or all in fifths, and you take something like that? Like, what are some of the things you practice?
Well, visualizing the intervals is for sure one important thing. Like if I have to, if I am in, I don't know, B flat, dominant 7,
Yep.
I'd like to. I like to visualize maybe the perfect 4 interval on every shape, so I can, whenever I have this sound in my head, I already know what the shape is, you know. And then if I have to do something like out of the key, like I really like to improvise like on the same chord to see how many colors I have in my arsenal, let's
Right.
say. And if I have to play on this like static chord, I always like to do like
Is it flat 5, sharp 11?
yeah, like a kind of a Lydian dominant sound.
Yep.
Yeah, this is like a kind of a new.
Those fourths and melodic minor there, or Lydian
Yeah,
dominant.
And then I have like this kind of Scott Anderson, kind of my go-to if I don't know what I'm doing. Like, yeah. And then
Matteo, come on, you know what you're doing in all those places.
you know, we all have this go-to licks when, like, if you don't know what to do, and maybe you have like a bag of tricks that you can rely, especially if you're playing fast and you don't have the time to think. It's always good to have this kind of go-to licks available to you, especially fast tempos. And then I'm just, you know, trying to work on lines where you have, even if I'm not playing the chord progression,
Yeah.
if you're hearing the single note line, you understand
What the chord changes
what the
are.
chord changes are.
Yeah.
And you can play this, I don't know, maybe the extreme will be, like, for example,
Giant steps, yeah.
and then if I play like a single note line, so you can,
Beautiful.
even if I'm not playing the chords,
You can hear the changes.
hear the changes passing by. That's kind of my objective, like my goal, if I'm studying single note lines. This, I believe, it's important for the development of your lines. I'm still working on it, of course. I mean, if you're playing through these hard tunes, I think it's, at least for me, there's an improvisational part, of course, but there's also a big muscular memory part. Because you can't improvise on giant steps, especially in the fast tempos, if you don't have a good bag of licks, as I said before, to rely on. So yeah, that's what I've been working on in the past years. It's always like the basic topics, but if you are good on the basics, then I mean, it's always melody, harmony, and rhythm.
So how do you decide on things like if you're playing fourths and you're going to play, you do a string cross and do one in a close position, as opposed to, I've seen you do lines where you'll do fourths, but between you'll skip like the B string, for example. But how do you decide on what the fingerings, like the kind of fingerings to do? And
well, it depends a lot on the sound you want to achieve. Like maybe a more Allsworthian sound, let's say, you can have the perfect four on the same string, for example. Like a suspended E, maybe. This is more like how Gambale maybe will play some of these lines on. Or maybe Allsworth is doing stuff like, I don't know, maybe doing like this kind of unison on.
Now I'm trying to watch
strings.
to see where you decide to play your thumb when you're going to do something like this. If you're going to do something that somebody would sweep, you'll start with your thumb, right?
Yeah. If it's sweeping, I'll probably start always with my thumb as well. But it's really a combination between a lot of stuff. But it's really, I don't think about it too much because I practice the fingering so much that I don't have to think about it. Because the moment you think, okay, I have to start with the thumb or I have to start with the index or medium, it gets a little bit more complicated because you don't have time to think about it when you are in a performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really depends on the line. Of course, as I said before, there needs to be always something instinctual about it. You cannot think about all the nuts and bolts in that short period of time. Otherwise, it will not sound as instinctual or as good.
I noticed that you, when you were playing in LA at NAMM or in Anaheim, that you were digging in a lot more and playing, you breaking across the strings and things like that, playing it just with different types of articulations. Does that stuff screw up your nails when you do that?
Oh yeah, a lot.
I was wondering about that. Like I see you're kind of striking across the strings.
Yeah.
Like you would do with a pick, but you're doing it with your nails. And I was wondering, I wonder if that screws up his nails.
I mean, if you want to achieve certain sounds, like if I want to achieve this kind of palmuting sound, I have to play really loud with my fingers, you know?
Yeah.
So it's always.
Yes. This is what I'm talking about. That's got to screw up your nails, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out a way to, like, maybe an indestructible material that I can apply onto the nail. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out.
Do you ever get a nick in them during the show where it's really bugging you?
Yeah. I'm kind of getting used to it, but it's always like I always prefer to have my nail in a perfect shape because it facilitates a lot.
Yeah.
But if you get like a nick, for example, I always have this nick on the middle finger here that sometimes the sound is not as good as I would like because you hear this.
Yeah. That
little click that it always bothers me. But of course, you always need to play, especially on a live situation. By the time I did the 5th or 6th song, the nails are already like that.
A lot of people ask me after our last interview about your right hand position, why you will have your hand like this sometimes and then use the rest strokes this way. And I thought about asking you more about that, to talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
And Is it a sound thing? Is it a what how do you decide what
sound,
to do?
The sound, first of all, is different because if I have to play so I have slightly more volume if I play with this kind of bass-like technique.
Yeah.
And it facilitates more this kind of lines where you have like so if I have like this kind of stuff where I have 3 notes per string, it's always with this kind of technique. And then I change to this technique if I have to do more arpeggios, like if I have to start, that will be impossible with the other technique because I have to jump from the first string to the 6th one.
Yes.
So it's always good to have like the finger is already there, so I don't need to, like the string skipping part with this technique where you have also your thumb available is so much easier.
Yeah.
So I try to build lines in order to advantage this kind of technique here. But when it feels that
you want to really
that
rip.
I want to really let's say the more kind of a shred stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really has a different attack to it. There's a little. It's kind of like a punch before each note. You can really hear that.
And the volume is a little bit different, and that there's more. Let's say the string rings a little bit more because in classical guitar they learn you that most of the melodies are played with this appoggiato technique because you can develop more volume.
Yep.
And of course with classical guitar you don't have any distortion or effects available, so you need to develop your volume from the start. And then of course when it gets to the arpeggios part or all the harmony chordal stuff, you switch to the other technique because it's so much easier. So it's kind of a, of course you need to get used to it, the change. To me, for example, I don't even think about it. If I have in mind a line that needs the other technique, I just do it. But yeah, it's kind of it depends on the sound you want to achieve because, as I said before, for example, if I have to do the palm muting stuff, I can't do it with this.
No.
Well, not so because my palm is over here, so I don't have the flash to mute the strings, let's say. So it's kind of it depends on the sound you want to achieve, of course. And even if you're playing, there's a big difference between playing with distortion and playing on clean. So yeah, it really depends on a lot of stuff.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about harmony, about chordal playing and things like that, and like who's a guitar player that you like somebody that, like a Joe Pass or something like that, or who's somebody, Alan Holdsworth, they have two totally different approaches, these guys.
Well, of course, I like a lot of different players. For example, I was listening to George Benson some days ago. There's this popular live CD that is called Live in Montreux.
Yeah.
I think it's from 1986.
Yeah.
And he's playing on that live is otherworldly, man.
George is one of the best not only single note players, one of the best chord soloists that I've ever heard.
Yeah, I don't know how he's doing that. I don't really know. It's kind of...
It sounds like a big band.
Yeah, it sounds like a big band, and you can understand everything harmonically because most of his tunes are not too crazy harmonically speaking, especially on that era. But the timing, the sound,
oh my God, his groove,
the way is outlining the changes in a beautiful way. It's not something like it's always melodic, even on the 251s. It's never too. It just seems that it doesn't think about it at all.
Yeah,
it just flows. And that one player that really liked that influenced me a lot when I'm playing with the clean stuff I really borrowed a lot of things from George, especially the way he's articulating some of the pentatonic stuff. I mean, this is not the right guitar to do that, but or you know, you know, you know, this kind of. And you know, this kind of vocabulary, I borrowed a lot of things from George, talking about this kind of stuff, and then of course Allsworth as well. Allsworth was, it's still one of the few players where when he plays something, I still don't understand harmonically speaking what he's doing. And there's one album that I'm listening now that is called Wardenclyffe Tower.
Oh yeah,
I think it's from 1992 maybe. And his tone on that album is probably my favorite tone of all the Allsworth albums so far. And he's doing crazy stuff, especially the changes. And there it's so complicated to play on those changes because you never encounter those harmonies on popular jazz standards.
Right.
So that's why it's so hard to connect the changes there. And then, of course, there are multiple, even new players that I encountered, you know, on Instagram or YouTube, which I really like. There's one called Ben Johnson.
Yes.
I think he's from New York.
Yep, I know Ben.
And I really like his vocabulary. He's playing through the changes in a really clear way. Like, as I said before, if you can hear the changes without the chords, just with the single note lines, that means he's a really good player. So
yes.
That's the case for Ben, for sure. There's another one which I really like that is called Josh Meader.
Yep, I know Josh. Love Josh.
Yeah, Josh, probably from a pure technical perspective, Josh is really one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's playing all this kind of Michael Brecker lines where you have to put your hand like that, and he always sounds like a MIDI file.
Yes,
it's no slop.
The thing with him is that his picking hand looks so different than anyone I've seen. You know, some people have really different ways. Like George Benson, the way he held his pick is very different than anyone. The way Josh holds his pick seems to be very different. I think everybody finds their way to get out the notes the way that they want to, you know?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the vocabulary and the tone you get is basically different from one another. Like, I heard that Josh, for example, is not picking every note, but using a lot of legatos, and you can basically the opposite of what George is doing basically on his solos, where he currently picks everything. But that, of course, depends on the sounds you're using. Like, if I'm hearing someone with distortion, I usually prefer to have more legato on that sound. But of course, if you're playing clean, like Joe Pass or George Benson, you need to develop volume as well because you don't have that much sustain. So people that play clean more, they tend to pick more because of that. I noticed that. But of course, it depends on your preference. Even the guitar you are using, for example, I never used this one with the clean sound. I always, like if I have to do the jazz stuff, I always use the other guitar. This one is more for distortion stuff. So yeah, it really depends on the sound you want to achieve. But there are really tons of players that I like and that I'm currently listening to,
If you didn't have your thumb rest on there, now you don't use it that much. I mean, you use it for when you're doing your rest strokes. But can you play guitars that don't have those, or you just prefer to have them on there?
Yeah, I can play guitars without. Like, it's not gonna be a
Would you
big
rest your thumb on the top of the pickup?
I just rest the thumb on the highest pickup available. Let's say. But yeah, it's not gonna be a big problem. In fact, I probably will remove this ones because sometimes it gets in the way when I'm playing with the thumb.
I was gonna say,
it gets a little bit on the way because it's a little bit too high for what I'm searching for.
So tell me about the process on your new record and You released one single already with Antoine.
Yeah.
Then you have one coming out with Steve Vai.
Yeah, that's true. We have I think the single with Steve will come out by the end of February. We have currently another single prepared for the end of March, if everything goes well. And then the album will be released, as I said before, on April 24. It's the date of your birthday,
My
right?
birthday.
Yes.
Good day to release a record.
Perfect release date, yeah. Yeah, but as I said before, the approach was a little bit different because I'm really proud, for example, the song with Antoine was really an unexpected result because it developed into a completely different thing. But when Antoine recorded his solo, for example, the song was already completely different from the first demo, you know? And that's probably one of the songs that I'm the most proud of because he has kind of there's the classical guitar, there's the gypsy guitar, and there's the electric guitar at the same time in one song. So it's kind of a particular thing because I can't label the song into, it's not jazz for sure, it's not like classical fusion, let's say, it's not rock. But that's the thing I like about, if I can't label a song that I did, that means I'm, let's say, in a good path in a way, because I don't want to do things that can be associated too much with just one style, you know? And that's what I've been doing from the first album. So the song with Antoine is called Isla Feliz, and it's probably the most particular song from the album because he has Brazilian elements, he has kind of a rhythmic feel with a lot of percussions going on, and yes, like, of course, there's a lot of influence, especially harmonically speaking, with the Pat Metheny group, for example. That's where I took some of the harmonic ideas, let's say. Yeah, and then, as I said before, there are way more guitars stuck together compared to the first one, so that the album sounds a little bit more full compared to the first one. And so, yeah, it was a completely different approach, I think. And I concentrated myself more on the improvisation, not the improvisational part, just the composition. That's why I took maybe a little bit less space on the solos and a little bit more space on the presentation of the main melody, let's say. I wanted to concentrate on that, especially on Isla Feliz. But it's still a work in progress. I don't think there is a fixed process for composition. Like, if there will be a fixed process, then everybody will have good songs.
That's right. It's interesting. So you brought up Pat Metheny. We've not talked about Pat before. Talk about Pat's influence.
Well, yeah, Pat is a huge influence on me, especially compositionally speaking. And I remember the first album I listened was, I think, Still Life Talking. And then I saw some live videos from Letter from Home. The first one, I think, was a live version of Have You Heard? And the guitar solo really opened me a brand new world. So Pat was for sure one of the main jazz influences, especially when I was starting with conservatory in Palermo. And, you know, it's kind of how I construct some of the chromatic lines is very inspired from Pat. Like, you know, this kind of stuff is very Pat inspired, let's say. I think this is a line that he plays on Have You Heard as well. Like we're using the circle of fifths.
Yeah.
And these are some of the lines that I encountered on like studying some of Pat's solos. And of course, it's not really just this kind of licks, it's always the way he treats the melodies that is special to me. All the slurs and this kind of stuff that reminds of like Wes Montgomery, for example, but a little bit more modern sounding in a way. So that's why you can hear both like modern stuff and bebop elements a lot on Pat's music. So
if you watch Pat play, which I've seen Pat play many times over the decades, starting back in
Yeah.
the 1970s. And Pat plays with his pinky, first of all, more than anyone that I've ever seen. He'll play
Wow.
multiple notes with his pinky.
Uh-huh.
And it is really what gives him his sound. And that's why no one I've ever heard no one can copy Pat, because nobody can play, in my opinion, melodically like Pat can.
Yeah.
He really can play melodies, can improvise melodies that just develop themselves, unlike anyone else. And he also can make the guitar, he can make a clean sound sing like no one that I've heard. By the way, by his articulations, by the slides, he does a lot of 1, 2, 3 glisses into things like Wes used to.
Yeah,
You know, and his use of playing kind of, I don't know if you'd call this vertically on the neck too, and then using his pinky a lot is very, very unusual.
Yeah. The way he developed melodies is special. And even like the way he was able to write music that was, of course, American jazz inspired, but at the same time a lot of South American elements. Like it was one of the first I heard that was fusing this kind of words. That's how I learned about this world music, if there's a label for it. But, but compositionally speaking, I think Letter from Home, the song, it's still one of the best songs, instrumental songs I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Okay, so tell me about this guitar now. When you were at NAMM, when I walked up, I saw you. This is the guitar you were playing. And how do you decide what to play on this? Is this more for your?
Well, that's more for the jazz playing, because I like more the clean sound on that one.
Yeah.
So that one is for more the Van Halen stuff with pinch harmonics and
yeah.
And this one is, I use it more if I know I have to play clean, this is gonna be my choice. So if I have to do, we're currently doing like Isla Feliz live, and so I'm able to do this kind of stuff with a, let's say, with a convincing clean sound, you know?
Matteo, that is so clean. Your playing is so clean. It's
Thank
amazing.
You.
I mean, it's just like you're playing these things, and it just makes it sound easy. There's no effort involved, even though I know there's a lot of effort in playing it.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I always try to work on economy of motion, especially. It's something like I learned, for example, that touring a lot and playing every day, of course, helps with the chops as well, because you're playing every day. And I think economy of motion, especially on the left hand, is very important to keep your hand relaxed, especially on the most difficult lines, because we all tend to tense up when it comes to the hard stuff. And me too, I get to tense up a little bit, especially with the left hand. But it's a matter of finding like the right spot and the right combination of force, but relaxing at the same time. And it's of course hard, but practicing every day helps, of course.
Yes. What is the limit of speed? Like, what kind of things would you say are difficult for you to do? Because it doesn't seem like anything's difficult for you to do.
Well, there are tons of things that are difficult. I'm trying to improve not necessarily technical stuff, but the variety of my rhythmic palette, for example. Because if we play always 16ths or quarter notes or you will eventually lose the listener after a while, because it's not enough rhythmic variety, let's say.
Yes.
And George Benson is a master of adding this kind of stuff, you know?
Yes.
You know, so trying to visualize, trying to be a little bit more unpredictable, talking about the rhythm part.
Yeah.
So that's where I would like to work, and most of the time. But it really, there are a lot of hard things for me. Like, for example, if I have to do something like
going from a arpeggiated line into a single notes.
Yeah. That's one thing that I would like to be not necessarily faster with, but a little bit more comfortable with changing position sometimes, because it happens so fast sometimes that the fact that I change this technique a lot kind of gets in the way sometimes.
Right.
So I'm always trying to mix up all of these things. It's really, you know, I study what excites me the most in that moment. Mm-hmm. That's not really a fixed process, and that's why I should say it's always fun to me, because I don't have a fixed routine, because I'm not the kind of guy that does okay, we do 1 hour of arpeggios and then 1 hour of scales. I don't have the attention span to do that. Uh-huh. So it's always like I play what excites me the most in that moment, and I always start with the source material. It's always a solo that I like, that I want to learn. It's always a song that I want to learn. It's never like, okay, I want to improve in music, so I have to study arpeggios and lines. It's rarely like that. It's always start with a musical input, and then I start from there.
Do you ever go out and play gigs, or did you go out and play gigs and play things like blues and rhythm changes and standards and things like that?
Yeah. There was a period of time where I was playing a lot of standards, and you know. You know, all this kind of stuff, and I was like, you know, and I was kind of creating lines that were outlining the changes as well. So, you know, this kind of stuff, and it's always helped me to, you know, listen to all the greats, and even transcribe them from, you know, Coltrane, Parker. I remember, like, this is probably Coltrane, you know. And you know, all this kind of stuff, it's really useful. And then I had this period of time where I was playing a lot jazz standards, and it helps you to, you know, achieve the vocabulary you have now, of course, and learning the tunes, and especially the chord melody part helped me a lot, like learning the melody and the harmony at the same time. It's incredibly useful. And not only for the visualizing part, but also if you are in the trio, for example, you need to take care of the melody and the harmony at the same time, because you don't have a piano player with you. So it's always a good work, a good exercise to do that on every standard. And then, of course, there was a period of time, probably before the first album, where I was playing only jazz stuff, but I got eventually bored a little bit of it, because I was missing the sound of distortion, let's say. So I got back more to the rock stuff and trying to fuse between, always the fusion kind of stuff, because I don't like to play with the same sound too much, because I will bore myself a little bit after a while. So, yeah.
Can we get you to play a track, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Matteo, you're getting better all the time, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I try.
So you have your record coming out on the 24th.
Yes.
And any other features besides? So you got Antoine, you got Steve. Anybody else on the record?
Yeah, we have an incredible keyboard player from Russia. He's a keyboard player and producer. He's called Valery Stepanov.
Okay.
And he plays on one song. It's kind of a bonus track of the album. It's the only cover we did, and it's a kind of a new revamped version of the Chicken. We took basically the arrangement I did back in 2017 with my trio, and we just changed it up some things. And I wanted to do this song with Valery as well, because he's actually the one that inspired me to do that arrangement of the Chicken, because that comes from another version of the Chicken that he did before I uploaded that video. And Valery is such an amazing fusion player. He has incredible chops, incredible speed, but great taste as well. And I love his music. So yeah, he is the third guest of the album.
And tonight you're playing here.
Yeah, tonight I'm playing in Atlanta. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Matteo, it's always a pleasure to have you come by, man. And,
Thank you.
And such an honor to hear you play. And
thanks so much.
Great to see you. Hopefully it's not 2 years again until I see you, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But congratulations on everything.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.